Hi, I'm Audrey Salmon, a Harmony Project violin teacher. I'm going to share with you how I warm up and do some scales. First of all, I like to be stretched, and ideally, if I've exercised, I'm really warm and ready to go. But if you don't have time to do all of that, at least get set up really well with good posture. Standing tall and using the core muscles, your belly muscles, and your leg muscles. And get your instrument set up well with relaxed shoulders and a good instrument posture. I like to check my shoulder rest by letting go of my left hand, and then I check my bow hold. And then I also like to do a couple bow exercises, just some stirs and some crunches. I call these crunches. Getting the fingers flexible and the wrist loose. And also just to get contact with the bow before you start playing. So I like to do open strings first. I start with whole notes, and I do 4 on each string, and it's a great way to also practice with the metronome. So I'm going to go ahead and set it at 75, and we're going to use the whole bow and divide it into quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4. String, and then I go in the D string 4 times, G string, and then I drop the elbow to the E. Next I do half notes. So same tempo, but the bow speed is going to be twice as fast. Still whole bows. 1, 2. Again, 4 on each string. And while you're doing this, you're also able to pay attention to the mechanics of the bow. So where you bend your wrist, where you open from the elbow, where you need to curl your fingers like at the frog, and then just make sure you have a straight bow perpendicular to the string. Next, I do quarter notes, 8 quarter notes in the middle half of the bow, which is right here. You can see my bow tapes, I've got the 4 quarters here. And I do 8 of them with a nice loose wrist. 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. You go to the G, making sure you lift that elbow and then drop it for the E with clean string crossings. Next is 8 notes, and I do those in the lower middle of the bow, this part of the bow. Let's do 8 notes. Ready and go, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and those can get away from you as it did for me, so I would do it again. Next would be 16th notes. Let's make sure we're using a little less bow. So I'm going to be using the upper, lower, middle. So closer to the middle tape. Ready and a go, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... It's also, when you're playing with metronome, it's really helpful to make sure you can hear it really well while you're playing with your bow. So then next I would do scales. So you can do any scale using these bowing patterns, but I'm going to demonstrate on the D major scale. So we're going to do the exact same rhythms in a scale, except we're also going to slur. So I'm going to set my metronome back to 75 because I've already really gotten that tempo down and all those rhythms at 75. So it's great to just continue at that tempo. So here's the D scale. We're going to start with whole notes. And don't worry, I'm not going to play through the whole thing, just to demonstrate a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I'm playing really slow, I am thinking about my left hand mainly when I'm playing slow in a scale, and I'm really paying attention to the pitch, whether it is ringing, and if I'm really at that center of the pitch, my violin's going to ring more. It makes the other strings ring more. Whereas it's a G, on the D, it's going to make the open G vibrate more. Then I'm also really aware of my finger patterns, making sure my high twos are touching 3. You can also, when you're playing this slow, you can check your open strings sometimes with the notes that correspond to it. For now, I'm going to go on to half notes. So we're going to, again, use the whole bow, this time with a faster bow speed. 1, 2. So on and so forth. Next is slurring 2 quarters. Divide the bow in half. So change your note right at the middle of the bow. Ready, and... And then I'm going to slur 4 eighth notes. So dividing the whole bow, but into quarters. 4 to a vowel. Ready, and go, and... And then we're going to do 16th notes, which will be 8 to a bow. Divide your bow into 8. Ready, and a go, and a... So if you're using that constant bow speed through the whole scale, especially if you've done it in your open strings, it's really easy to get faster and faster. You've really got that coordination down. So then I also like to practice separate bows in scales. So if I'm going to practice separate quarters, I use the middle half of the bow. And then for eighths, I would use the lower middle. Ready, and go, and... And then 16th notes, that upper lower middle. Less bow. Ready, and a go, and a... That way you really get more control and the evenness of each note. It really helps you with all of your music when you practice your scale that way. I hope you enjoy this scale exercise and warm up.